Hold up. I gotta fix something real quick. Yeah, that's better. All right. Anyway, Kev from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. And it is the day after Thanksgiving. And I am here to try to make that sense out of all this nonsense. So if you got a second, hopefully you done ate enough turkey and stuff like that, and you're able to put it down just for a minute so you can check out what I'm laying down on you. See, that's what I'm hoping. You can check out what I'm laying down on you. So I'm gonna give it a few minutes. I see I got myself a notification. Toy got her one. Our pal got one. Okay, people popping into the show. What's happening? Somebody said loud and clear. That's what I like to hear. Loud and clear is what I like to hear. Okay, that's kind of straight. That's decently straight. You know, little things bother me. Little things mean a lot. Okay, so it is the day after Thanksgiving. And I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family and, friends, or however you get down on Thanksgiving. Hopefully you didn't eat yourself into a full-blown coma. I've been known to do that in the past. I've been comified before due to eating too much. I never forget me and my best friend Shaq ran into this new Chinese restaurant when I first moved down to Cincinnati when I was a young boy. And we couldn't believe, the buffet that they had. It was amazing. So we went in thinking we were going to hurt them. We were like, oh, we're going to make them pay. We're going to make them be up there talking about, you so brother, so sister, you eat too much. You pay for two. Pay for two. You eat too much, so brother. I wanted them to try to make me pay for two people. But instead of hurting them, we ended up hurting ourselves. Ate ourselves into a coma. We both could not even drive. We were laying down in the booth at the Chinese restaurant. Taking a nap. Took a nap. They had the shoes off, got in the car, couldn't drive, sat there for another about 20 minutes nodding off. I've never eaten that much in my life. And I realize now what the scriptures mean when they talk about don't be gluttonous. Man, we still laugh at that today. Like, remember we almost killed ourselves? Remember we almost OD'd on Chinese food? You remember that? Yeah, we learned what not to do. Eat in modesty. So hopefully you weren't one of those people who had to kick your shoes off, unbuckle the belt, and go to sleep at the table. But anyway. Now it is Friday, day after Thanksgiving, and we need to, of course, address something that I didn't want to really, address yesterday. I say, let the people enjoy their day, and we'll get back on this another day. So I did upload a video that shows some of the clips we're going to be talking about today in regards to the incident that took place earlier in the week, an unfortunate incident that, like most things like this, could have been avoided. And that is why the title is, this has Democrat fingerprints all over it. As we go through these clips tonight, we will learn that if you do a forensic audit of some of the things that happen in our country that we say, oh my goodness, I can't believe this happened. You'll find that most of the time, Democrats have their fingerprints all over it. It's not just this incident. I mean, think about some things that happens, across the country. Let's just say the random shootings where, folks of the other persuasion, the transformers, get mad and they shot up some places. Well, if you go back through, you'll find that Democrats have their fingerprints on those. I'm not saying every single bad thing that happened in the United States, but when you look at that, you say, okay, y'all been telling these people that folks hate them, they're trying to unexist them and all of that stuff. Then they go out and they do things like this. And if you trace it back, you'll find Democrats were encouraging these people to feel the way they felt. They justified it. When you look at the illegal immigration problem, and I'm not even talking about this particular problem because this has something to do with illegal immigration, but you look at the normal illegal immigrants that come across and unfortunately end up hurting somebody. When you look at that, you go right back to it and you say, Laken Riley, that person shouldn't have been here. You can trace it all the way back to the Democrat Party. I mean, there's so many other things. When you look at the attacks on ICE, trace it back. That's all you got to do. A little Sherlock Holmes. Somebody said, nice hoodie. Thank you very much. It's a full-blown jumpsuit. See, it's not just a hoodie. Yeah. Bam. See, you got to rock all of that. Bam. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait a minute. See, y'all done got me distracted. Bam. Say, I'm all green, man. I'm ready to go ahead and, go undercover. And you're crawling across the grass. You never see me. I just lay face down. You'd be like, I don't see him. He just disappeared. But, all full-blown, all green. Yeah, if you know what I mean. Oh, man, come on. All right, there we go. All right, so anyway, let's get back to our Sherlock Holmes investigation to see if we could find some fingerprints that was on this latest incident, along with many of the other incidents that have occurred in our country. Democrats have been the source of nothing but chaos, source of all types of issues. When it goes back to the Ukraine war, you can find Democrats' fingerprints all over it. I mean, their fingerprints are everywhere. And we can see these fingerprints, but unfortunately, there are some idiots out there that can't see the fingerprints. And then there is an apparatus that is trying to wipe away the fingerprints, which is the fake news and, of course, the Democrats. They don't want people to recognize, wait a minute, this print, yeah, it might have this particular person's fingerprints on this. But if you dig a little deeper, there's some groups of people who really is behind everything that led up to this. So let's go ahead and get busy so we can get out of here tonight. Because I got to cook as well. My chest like real gorilla. Real gorilla. Real gorilla.
There's some kings in the building. Show some respect.
Gorillas in here. That's right. Gorillas in here. Yeah, buddy. Don't forget there's a Kevin's Corner store in here too. If you get a chance, check out some merch over there. You can shop till you drop. You can support the channel also through my Cash App and my PayPal link. The links are below each video. That number on the screen, 330-974-4607, is the number you can text MAGA to. Says, stay in touch with me just in case they unexist me here on this internet. Make me disappear. You'll find the Democrat fingerprints on that too, if somehow I get booted off of this platform. But anyway, other than that, please subscribe to the channel. Follow me on all the other social media platforms. Hit the like button. Make sure you turn your notification buttons on to all so you can at least have a shot at getting notifications. And I have an alternative channel that you can do that to as well. And those links are below each video as well. So now, this horrific incident that have taken place last week, as soon as I heard it, the very people who were the targets, the victims of this incident, I already knew. I said there's only several possibilities about why someone would deliberately target two National Guardsmen. I mean, what possibly could have been the motivation for anybody to target these particular people? People who have been under fire for months, not due to their own decisions, their own behaviors, but due to a group of people who are targeting them and upset with them because President Trump has been using the National Guard to make them look bad, to not only make them look bad in regards to, helping bring the crime down in their S-hole ran Democrat cities, but also protecting ICE so that ICE can do their job, which they're also being targeted. Anything that Trump uses to enforce the law, Democrats have to attack it. They don't care nothing about patriotism. They don't care nothing about being responsible. They don't care nothing about our fine, brave men and women in ICE or in the military. They don't care. Whatever they have to do to go ahead and attack the tool or anything that Trump is using to either make them look bad or to threaten their power, then they will do it. They don't care to fall out. They don't care nothing about that. So you have to start off by saying, why these two particular people? What do they have in common? Why not just two random people on the street. If this was purely 100% a random terrorist attack, most of the time, they don't just, say, well, you know what, we're just going to pick some military folks. They will target civilians. They want the civilian population to be afraid. And it's nothing worse than attacking, of course, innocent civilians for some type of political ideology or religious ideology. But if you can also target, a group of people who really are operating in a passive mode. Our military is not up there, aggressive. They're not doing that. But unfortunately, because they're being used to threaten what the Democrats are trying to accomplish, they have been demonized to the point where someone might view them as operating in a more aggressive mode. And so let's go ahead and get into this and explore some of the possibilities of the motives that might have encouraged this person to target these particular people. This dude got in a car, drove all the way from Washington State, all the way to Washington, D.C. to do this. So let's go ahead and get into it and see what we can explore and come up with. All right.
This has Democrat fingerprints all over it.
Breaking news right now out of Washington, D.C. as we come on the air at this moment where two National Guardsmen have been shot near the White House. You are looking at live video right now of the scene. They were shot this afternoon, unbelievably, about 2 blocks from the White House.
Now, when I heard this, my heart just dropped. It sunk. I said, here we go again. Here we go again. It's always something, man. And, when you hear about who was the target, it just made me even madder. When you look at these people who've been shooting at ICE, been attacking ICE, every time I hear this, I get mad because I know that deep behind all of this, even if this guy was not motivated by, say, the Democrats' rhetoric and stuff like that, it just looks bad. It looks bad because the Democrats have been demonizing these people, these fine men and women in our military for just doing their job. It just looks bad. I'm saying, you know what? This guy, if he was really evil, he would say, let me target these people so that we can cause even more tension between the Democrats and the Republicans, because we've been looking at how the Democrats have been demonizing the National Guard over this. And I'm saying, man, if something happens to one of these people, even though the person who did it is ultimately responsible, for some reason, I feel like I got to start turning and looking towards you because we've been hearing you guys run around and talk about the National Guard's this, the National Guard's that, and Trump's using them as this Gestapo. And I'm saying, see, so if something bad happens to them, you guys are still going to look horrible because y'all been demonizing them this whole time. Even if the person did do it as a result of you guys talking trash and throwing them under the bus, it still looked bad. Because now you got to come out and try to pretend you're sad, you're concerned about these National Guardsmen and women that y'all have been calling all kind of names. So even if it had nothing to do with that, even if the guy was just walking randomly and said, you know what, I'm just going to pick these two people, it still looks bad on the left. It still looks bad on the Democrats because they've been demonizing this group of people. Now they got to try to pretend to act like they're patriotic. They stand with our men and women in the military. Nobody wants to hear that crap come out of you when y'all been majoring and demonizing these fine young men and women. And then when something happens to them, now you got to pretend that you always had their backs. Let's continue. Had the nerve to kill a woman. Somebody said coward selected a woman. Absolutely. When I found out about that, I even got madder. There's some lines you just don't cross. Women and children. Now, granted, I know she was a soldier and all of that stuff, but still, it makes me want to get my hands on this dude and really do some bad things to him. But let's go ahead and continue before I get all emotional and stuff and riled up before, I got to start off low and rev it up later. So let's go.
This is just, the only word I can think of here is just tragic.
Yes, Linda, tragic update. 2 National Guards members, as you mentioned, from West Virginia. Now, a suspect is in custody. We also learned that suspect was shot. Now, look at this video from D.C. This scene coming out of D.C. It shows a massive response across the area.
Now, I'm glad he didn't die. Now, I hope that comes later. I hope, they give him the death penalty. But before they do that, I want them to get all in his grill. Yeah, I want them to really dig into this dude and find out, first of all, were you influenced by anybody else that we got to go ahead and go after? What was your real motive? Yes, oftentimes they choose death by, the cop, S by cop, all that stuff, or they'll take themselves out. I didn't want that. Yeah, I want them to be able to work on this dude a little bit, if you know what I mean. They need to go ahead and bring in, what's that movie? If you've never seen it, you got to check it out. It's called The Unthinkable with Samuel L. Jackson, when they needed to extract some information out of a terrorist, and they brought in somebody who had the guts to do it. Unlike the soft people, we can't do this. This isn't right. He was like, see, y'all aren't willing to do what it takes. And I have to do the unthinkable to get this intel out of this person. So I hope they're able to get the intel out of this guy to find out what his real motive was. Because we're going to find out his background just a little bit. And apparently, instead of being grateful that he was brought here from a war-torn country, this guy repays us by doing something stupid like this.
This shooting happened at the corner of 17th and 8th Streets in the northwest quadrant of the city. Investigators are still trying to determine what is the motive in this case.
It says Democrat fingerprints all over it.
Well, look at that. You know that voice, Byron Donalds. Yeah, this has Democrat fingerprints all over it. So it's either going to be one or two reasons, in my opinion. I'm just doing some deductive reasoning. I'm just doing a little Sherlock Holmes, that's all. Trying to draw some conclusions. So let's go ahead and see what reason one could be.
What I'm thinking is a couple of things. First, these members of Congress with their stupid ass video, they're putting our military men and women in harm's way. That's number one.
It makes me incredibly nervous that we're about to see people in law enforcement, people in uniform military get nervous, get stressed, shoot at American civilians.
You hear crap like that? So because y'all put out a stupid video and everybody reacted to it and was like, man, you know what? This is a bunch of crap. Why'd y'all do this? Then you come back out and you try to clean that up by saying that makes me scared about what could happen. I mean, these people are put in stressful positions. Now, don't you think they're going to be even more stressful? I mean, before they were just out there, helping out with the public, cleaning up, interacting with people. Now they got to worry about maniacs coming up out of nowhere and doing something like this. See, so here you are telling people that these well-trained men and women, unfortunately, have just got the trigger finger. They're in a stressful position, and they just might just start capping civilians. Now, this could have been something that might motivate somebody who's crazy, even if it ain't this dude. You saying something like that when the people who support your party are crazy, radical, emotional, impulsive, and also have shown to be violent, this is the type of rhetoric that could make someone do this. Why do you think ICE needs the military to support them to this day? Yeah, the military wouldn't be necessarily dropped in there and in all these other cities if it wasn't for y'all demonizing ICE. So you see how it works. You start off demonizing ICE. Folks start attacking ICE. The military has to come in to protect ICE. And what do? Let's demonize the apparatus that's here, that's protecting ICE now. Whatever Trump uses or does to make sure we are getting rid of the problem that you guys created, once again, cause and effect. All of it has Democrat fingerprints written all over it. You got the open border, Democrats. You got them flooding all of our cities, Democrats. You got violence coming from a lot of these illegal immigrants, Democrats. Then we have to come in and get them out of here. Then what happens? They don't like that, so then they start demonizing ICE. ICE starts getting attacked, Democrats. Then what happens? Trump needs to send in the military to protect ICE. The Democrats start demonizing the military. Democrats. Fingerprints all over it. I think I'm getting somewhere with this. I think I'm starting to find out really who's behind the curtain. So it's stuff like that that leads to things like this.
We believe that the National Guard and the military occupation is the first step into rounding black people up and putting them in detainment camps here in Washington, D.C. and around the United States of America. We believe that.
And you're stupid for believing it. But see, here's the problem. There's other stupid people who will believe something stupid like that. So now, you see that? You see that? I mean, if it wasn't for them trying to make a big deal out of Trump bringing, the National Guard into D.C. to clean up all of the crime, protect ICE, yeah, these folks wouldn't be doing that if the Democrats wouldn't have made such a big deal out of Trump doing this, as if Trump's overstepping his boundaries, Trump's being like Gestapo. Notice they didn't do that when Hochul brought in the National Guard for the train station, the subway. They didn't do that to them. Why weren't they attacked them? Why weren't they saying they're coming in to occupy? That's because if the Democrats don't make a big hubbub out of it, then their crazy radical folks that support them won't respond. They'll think this is just regular practice. And if the Democrats would have made a big deal out of Trump bringing in the National Guard, these folks wouldn't see it like that. People see things the way that well, at least their politicians, not politicians, but their voters, they see things the way that the Democrats, project it to them. They're not able to discern that these folks are using us. Why now are the National Guardsmen bad when they're being brought into D.C., but they weren't bad when they were brought in to New York by Kathy Hochul? Oh, because the Democrats did not demonize them when they was in New York, but now they're demonizing them because they're in D.C. And the people all of a sudden say, well, you know what? In this application, this must be okay because we didn't hear from our mind controllers telling us y'all should be upset over this. But now they're telling us we should be mad about this. And they're inserting all of these crazy ideas. Like this fool right here that had the nerve to say, this is the beginning of them rounding up black people. How, number one, irresponsible is this statement? But not only that, if this guy really believes this, which I know he doesn't, he's just a race baiter. He's one of them plants that does what they do. Go out there, tell people, oh, you're about to be rounded up, taken back to Africa. Yeah, he's one of these people. See, but he's being used by the Democrats. So now he goes out there and he says something stupid like this. And I mean, that is stupid. Unbelievable that guy's even able to say something stupid like this. But could that have been? Now, I'm not saying it is. We don't know right as of now what this man's motive was, but I'm just doing some deductive reasoning because if it ain't this guy's motive, it just might be somebody else's motive in the future. Look at all of this crap that these folks were saying about the military.
Investigators are still trying to determine what is the motive in this case.
What do you think, as a lawyer,
look at this.
What do you think the consequences should be for people who are abiding by following these steps from the commander-in-chief when they seem to be complete overreaches of power?
Now, you see this? Seem to be complete overreaches of power. Now, they got to come out before the shooting took place. They were trying to run interference for Democrats, the seditious six. They got their butt in a pickle, and people are giving them the business over them trying to undermine the military, trying to undermine Trump's authority. So, now we got to come out and try to make it seem like, they have a legitimate reason for saying y'all don't have to obey unlawful orders and bring on this bootleg so-called attorney that's supposed to go ahead and really hint to, look, military people, hint. It looks like, we're not saying it is, but see, we're going to play some nasty, silly games and say, it looks like overstepping their authority. We didn't say it is. It looks like, what do you think should happen to them? Let's go ahead and scare folks in the National Guard, folks in the military. Let's go ahead and scare them, okay, to try to cover for these raggedy behind other Democrats by suggesting that we're not saying quite that y'all are doing something illegal, but we're going to suggest that it appears that you're overstepping your boundaries. And you got to start thinking about what's going to happen to you after Trump is gone. Yeah, when we get a raggedy Democrat, in power, or if we take over the Congress, hey, what's going to happen to you guys when we start going back and saying, now, y'all came into the cities and did pretty much nothing, stood around, made sure things were running smoothly, but that was overreaching. So now we're going to court-martial you. You see, this is a subtle way of threatening the military. And then they get this bootleg dude up here to try to act like, oh, yeah, that's right. This is serious business. Listen to this crap.
They're following unlawful commands from Donald Trump. And if you're committing offenses and your defense is going to be, I was just following orders. You know, that didn't work out so well at Nuremberg.
There we go. Always this. See, this the shite, man. This the stuff. This is what makes me say, you know what? They are cruising for a bruising. It's almost like these people want civil war. It burns me up, man. When I watch these people, I say, y'all are the source of so many problems. It's really wearing my patience down when it comes down to listening to these clowns. And then you see the result of their rhetoric and you say, see, I can't live with you guys. See, we ain't gonna stoop down to, you know, the level of you guys and stuff like that. But boy, if there was a rational, non-violent way to get rid of these people and separate them from the rest of America, I would be, let us do it. If they were willful in saying, we don't like the way you conservatives are running the country, so we want our own, I said, give it to them. You want your own state? You want your own little country? Yes, you can have that mess. So we don't have to deal with crap like this no more. See, people getting on TV, influencing folks and lying. So she's not bold enough to lie and put MSNBC in a pickle, but you're going to leave it up to this propaganda to come out and say that they're following unlawful orders. Just straight lying.
It certainly didn't work out so well for Lieutenant Calley when he, you know, engaged in mass murder, the My Lai massacre. And, you know, Pete Hegseth just doing whatever Donald Trump tells him to do, like initiating a criminal investigation that could result in a court-martial of Senator Kelly for simply stating accurately what the military law provides, or Kash Patel's FBI opening criminal probes of members of Congress for speaking the truth.
See how they rush to clean up the Democrats' mess. So now this dude, his whole job is to come out and say that no, it's not the seditious six. No, it's not what they said and what they did. I'm going to try to pretend that their whole motive behind this was simply to come out and speak the truth about doing right and doing wrong versus right and wrong and all that stuff, and don't disobey. And he knows that was not the real motive of that video. It was to stir up trouble, but they never thought for a second that maybe this could lead to violence against our military members. Us going out here trying to pretend that they're out there doing something unlawful. They're obeying, unlawful orders and all of this crap just to protect these raggedy Democrats and their sedition. Yeah, you never stop to think that somebody crazy might start reacting to this. I mean, these people make me so sick. And then they'll all go undercover when something like this happens. You won't see this bum back on TV. You know, these people should be catching some heat, man. Everybody should be writing into MS bullcrap and saying, look, man, you guys in your rhetoric, I just watched some bald-headed dude, like Kev, but not as cool, on your network saying that they're obeying unlawful orders and all this stupid stuff.
You know, that is something that will someday, when the rule of law comes back into the light of day,
see the threat?
Will have to be tackled. They'll have to be held accountable for those abuses.
See? What abuses? You're getting up here spreading nothing but lies and propaganda and subliminal threats. That's what he's doing. So if I am a half-cocked, stupid liberal thinking that we're fighting against fascism, Donald Trump's authoritarianism, I think he's a dictator. If I'm one of those people and I'm up here thinking black people are going to start getting rounded up, and I'm listening to this fool get on TV talking about they're obeying unlawful orders, and later on when the rule of law comes back, as if there is no rule of law right now, as if we are a lawless country and everything Trump is doing with our military is unlawful. And then the subliminal message, the subliminal threat, when the rule of law comes back, as if it only operates perfectly under Democrat rule. Now, we already know the rule of law was blew out under Biden and his administration. But now this guy is projecting. That's all he's doing. And he's throwing out a threat subliminally, just suggesting when it comes back, meaning when Democrats get back in power, we're going to come after y'all for threatening our power, for allowing yourselves to be used to threaten our power. See, this the crap that I say, somebody's not wrapped too tight to listening to this propaganda. Might do something stupid.
It's going to be accounting for all of this and remembering all of it. Glenn Kirshner, thank you so much for
that. You hear that? You hear Raggedy Patty brought this dude on for cover for the Democrats? Yes, there's going to be an accounting for all of this. Boy, I tell you, man, there need to be a PR campaign to really expose how these people have contributed to all of the chaos in our country. These clips, all these snippets needs to be put together in commercial form and shown. You know, this is what leads to things like this. This is the real rhetoric that leads to our brave men and women being attacked at ICE, our brave men and women in the military, and just show a small, quick montage of all of the rhetoric and the demonization that comes out of these people. So it will shut them up. So maybe folks will stop watching this propaganda.
Here helping make sense or explain a lot of this.
It says Democrat fingerprints all over it.
It's an attack on the American people by the President of the United States. Now, he may disagree with a state that didn't vote for him, but should he be sending troops in? No.
You said he has other aims. What are the other aims?
The other aims are that he'd like to stop the elections in 2026 or, frankly, take control of those elections.
Investigators just...
You hear that? Hear that? Hey, I mean, what could possibly, happen with you guys talking about how the military is going to be used to take over elections, to seize elections, if they're going to be used to round up black folks, take them away? I mean, what possibly could happen by you guys going out there saying they might just get the trigger finger and just start killing our citizens, American citizens? That they're disobeying orders. They're obeying unlawful orders. What could possibly happen? I mean, you don't think that might motivate somebody to do something crazy?
Still trying to determine what is the motive in this case.
Sending in militarized federal immigration agents and National Guard troops to terrorize Chicago or any American community in any state.
See, you hear this? To terrorize. You see the language that they're using? They know that our brave men and women are going in there to terrorize American citizens. I mean, these people are evil, man. And then when you see stuff like this happen, it makes me even madder. Because, see, these same people will come out and give some bootleg, response. This is bad. We don't agree with this type of violence, and we support our men and women. No, you don't. These folks shouldn't be able to come out and say nothing about what took place. They should all go under a rock and hide somewhere. I wouldn't want to hear any of these people come out talking about we feel for the men, the women, and our families. And I don't want to hear that crap. When I'm hearing you guys talking about they're going in terrorizing American citizens as they're going in cleaning up the mess that you guys have created. Your fingerprints are all over it. Why do you think crime is going down in Washington, D.C.? Why? Because Democrats run it and the crime went up. We wouldn't need the military to go in, the National Guard. Fingerprints are still on it. But now you want to whine about it, talking about they're there to terrorize. No, they're there to clean up the mess that you guys made.
Is not the American way.
The president is attempting to send the National Guard to send and terrorize cities.
It says Democrat fingerprints all over it.
All over it. See all them fingerprints we just watched? Yeah. Fingerprints manifested in the form of Democrats getting up there talking about that. He's sending them in there to terrorize. Terrorize. Nobody has been complaining about them being terrorized by the National Guard. Nobody, except the Democrats. Just their bootleg lie and narrative. If I had a press pass, I would go up to Washington and find every one of these people. Excuse me. After the latest events that just took place with our National Guard members, do you still feel as if they're in D.C. to terrorize citizens? Do you still think that? Do you think maybe saying that might have led to somebody doing something crazy to them? What do you have to say to that? That's what needs to happen to every single one of these people lying on our military.
Actually, what the president is doing, the Secretary of Defense, is creating units, official military units, to quite frankly, watch the American people. And that's the thing that is absolutely abhorrent. It reminds me so much of what happened in Germany in the 1930s.
See, there we go. They just can't lay off of the Hitlerism. Can't lay off of it. Yeah, this was right before it all took place. And CNN is putting people like this up there on their show, and they always end with Nuremberg, the 1930 Germany, the Nazis, all of this stuff. What do you think an unstable person might conclude when you're saying these things, when you're lying about these things? Democrat fingerprints all over it. All over it. See, it's either one of two things. Either this person might have been influenced by this bull crap, or the next possible reason why this man might have done this. But here you go. Another example of them allowing this guy to sit there and lie. They're watching people and out there about, you know what, this reminds me of 1930 Germany. Well, did they do that because the crime was out of control then? Or did they do that for some other reasons? Was the goal of Hitler to bring down the crime, the murders, the carjackings? Or was it something else? He knows that our military is not doing this so that he could take over and get rid of all of the Jews and all this. He knows that. Yeah, but he's trying to make that comparison because he's a stinking, nasty, radical leftist Democrat who's being used on CNN to push this crap. And they always got to make it stick by saying, nah, Nuremberg, the Nazi Germany, the 1930s. Hint, hint. I feel you. That's how I felt.
Madam Attorney, what is your message to elected officials like Senator Dick Durbin and Senator Alyssa Slotkin that said that our National Guard was terrorizing American cities, predicted that it would be the National Guard that would shoot innocent Americans, and many more horrific comments such as that?
You know, it outrages me. And, you know, there's a part of me that thinks that the left is disappointed that the National Guard didn't shoot someone.
Absolutely. See, that is the sad part about it. I know that when bad things happen like this, they come out and they say, oh, we are denounce whatever. But they really would have loved to see something bad happen, just on the opposite. They don't want something bad to happen that might make them look bad and make them look like they are, you know, played a part in encouraging that. But honestly, if they would have ended up shooting somebody, they'd have been, see, this is what we mean. They would have loved that. Yeah, if Trump would have, you know, took that bullet to the head, they would have loved it and came out and talked about this right here is unprecedented. We had differences, but we never wanted anything like this to happen. They would have loved it. See, so these people, I know that in their hearts, they're evil enough to wish that some of the lies that they're telling actually come true. They would love it for ICE to just get frustrated and start running people over who's sitting in the middle of the driveway. They would love it if ICE just come out and start saying, forget the rubber bullets, forget the gas, forget all of that stuff. Man, let's just open on these people. They would love that because these are the lies that they've been telling people, but with no evidence. And if these things happened, then they can say, see, we told you that's what was happening. Right now, these are thoughts and ideas they're planting in people's head that are false realities that can encourage somebody who can't decipher the difference between, you know, propaganda and truth, can't decipher the difference between reality and fiction. They might buy into it like they've been buying into this crap all these years, saying Trump's a dictator, Trump's racist, you know what, our country is in the worst condition it's ever been in. And I'm going, none of that's true. It's all in your head. They're trying to unexist us. All of that bullcrap that folks have bought into. But none of the evidence points towards it. So I know if anybody does something crazy or reckless like that, the Democrats will love it because then they can say, see, this validates our lies. It validates our propaganda. Let's continue because Janine ain't having it.
But the truth is that this left-wing progressive nonsense is nothing more than fueling the flame of division in this country.
Thank you.
People should be grateful that the President of the United States has taken crime so seriously in this country that he is bringing in our law enforcement partners so that we can protect the innocent citizens. Look.
Now, see, this is the stuff that I'm talking about when it comes down to how, you know, Americans that hate Trump for whatever reason aren't able to see the blessing in Trump's administration and his decisions. You know, the Democrats cannot allow people to really see what Trump is doing in its purest form because it makes them look horrible. They can't allow these people to see this as for what it is. and any other rational period in time, they would say, wow, all that violence is up there. We don't have any leaders that's going to do anything. Oh, Trump's going to go in and step in and bring the violence down and make it safer. That's great. That's the type of president we need. But we're not living in sane times anymore. Yeah, we're living in times where something good like this needs to be painted in a picture that is bad. How can you really get out there and say, wow, our cities are being ran like trash, the violence is out of control, and Trump's solving problems we should have been solving? You know, you can't do that. Yeah, so you got to make something good look bad. And you got to make it look like out there, you know what, Trump's out there sending in these folks because of racism and because of trying to steal elections. And I'm saying people aren't able to see this in its purest form. You're not able to see that, wow, we finally got us a leader that cares enough about the people to send in something that can protect them. But no, see, you can't win elections like that. That only makes Trump look better. Okay? Yeah, people will start expecting and demanding that out of you raggedy Democrats that run your cities into the ground if y'all didn't demonize him. It's to the point where these folks would rather be living in squalor, living in violence, and all of this stuff, the way they protest against what Trump is doing. You would think, okay, so y'all rather all of the deaths, all of the carjacking. Yeah, that's how stupid people are right now. And we rather it that way. And they don't care nothing about who these decisions really impact. Low income, most of the time, people of color, who that guy was just talking about. This is the beginning of Trump rounding up people of color and putting them. No, this is the beginning of providing safety in neighborhoods filled with people of color. You dummy. So Janine is really breaking it down and said, this is how people should be seeing this.
I am the United States Attorney in the District of Columbia. We had the 4th highest homicide rate in the nation 2 years ago.
Yeah, what happened?
And the president made the decision to protect the people of the district. Now homicides are down 60%. Robberies are down 50%. Carjackings are down 74%.
Wow. Wow. Man, so you mean to tell me I might be able to actually roll up to D.C. and not worry about the man truck disappearing as I walk in and give me a snack or something? That's what you're saying, Miss Janine? That's what you're saying? Because before I was like, there's no way. I'd take a train if I had to go to D.C. I'd rent a car. But now you're telling me that carjackings is down 70-something%? Now, this is unbelievable. So instead of the Democrats celebrating that and mess like that, no, they're out there, you know what, the National Guard is being used to all of this stupid stuff.
And the left wants to complain about it. They should thank God that President Trump is the president, that he cares enough about the people of this country.
No, but let us go ahead and live in squalor. We'd rather the violence than have Trump come in and make this city safe and look good. We'd rather all of the carjackings and stuff like that to know that Trump is responsible for safety. That's what we'd rather do. That's why I say, I mean, it makes me feel like sometimes we should just have a national divorce and see what happens. See what happened. You want to get out on your own? Want to get off on your own, girl? You want to get off on your own, Dems? Want to get off on your own, Dems? Go ahead. Run your cities like this on your side of the country and see what happens. Yeah, I wonder if all of the woke folk who don't recognize a true leader, your first goal should be protect your citizens' lives and safety. Civilization cannot operate without some type of law and order and safety. Yeah, I want to see how they would operate, negotiate, their half of the country by letting all the criminals loose and sending in a whole bunch of, what do you call those people? Counselors. Sending a whole bunch of counselors and stuff like that. Yeah, that's where the leader homeless running around all out over the street. Yeah, I wonder what would happen. Open up your border at the edge of California. Let everybody come into Cali. Y'all can have Cali. Anybody in Cali that don't want to go ahead and sink, come on in the ark. Come inland, okay? And let Cali have its own devices deal with it. Let y'all have all of that and destroy it. See how it runs. Because, I'm sick of hearing y'all complaining about Trump trying to make life better and safer for you. It burns me. I'm sitting there like, so you don't want Trump to make life better for you, huh? Yeah, you hate that man so much. It's like, look, I'm trying to get this big fat splinter out of your foot. That's what I'm trying to do. And you're like, don't touch my foot. But you're complaining about how bad it hurts all the time. And I'm going, I see the problem right here. I can pull it out. It won't, I even give you a little Novocaine or something around so you don't feel the pain. Nah, I don't want your help. Okay, walk around until it gets infected and then you got to cut off the whole foot. That's how I feel sometimes. I'm like, okay, yeah, you guys don't like somebody trying to help you live a better life, a safer life, then okay. You're dumb enough to believe the enemy, because that's what these Democrats are and the fake news, the enemy. You're dumb enough to believe the enemy lying to you to where you cut off your nose to spite your face.
To fight the criminals and protect the innocent people.
It says Democrat fingerprints all over it.
Whoa, let's see then, Byron. What could be the second reason we know the Democrat fingerprints are all of us? See, they're not going to get off the hook. So one way or another, this whole incident still has Democrat fingerprints all over. Yeah, I'm stepping out on a limb. I'm getting out above my skis. I'm going to go ahead and conclude and deduce. Then most likely, if we go ahead and start tracing this all the way back, one way or another, we'll find the Democrat got their fingerprints all over it. Here's the second possible reason why I say that.
Number two, now that we're finding out that this shooter is an Afghani national that came in during in the year 2021. Oh. Well, gee, what happened in 2021?
Yeah, what happened?
Oh, yes. It was the botched withdrawal of Afghanistan from Joe Biden.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. We all remember that because their fingerprints are on that, too. 13 service members blown up. Whole bunch of Afghanians running aside a jumbo jet, just dumping on it, falling off of it, things like that. All that equipment left over there for the Taliban to come right back in and enjoy themselves and figure out real quick how to use it. As we get up there, I thought the equipment was left, but there's no way that they could. And all we see is them flying helicopters over there, riding around in our Humvees and things like that. And then talking about, yeah, that's right. We did a good job the way we exited it. So let's go ahead and see what Byron could be alluding to. Okay, let's see what happened.
One of the very worst geopolitical and military decisions by the former president of the United States. We knew at the time that there were Afghan nationals who were coming into the United States that were not being properly vetted. We were being told, just get people to the United States as quickly as possible. And then the Biden team would do the necessary work of vetting everybody.
Yeah, like they always do. See, remember, those Afghanians that they just packed into that, jumbo jet, not knowing who they were, just took them, whoever's in here is just coming to America. It's no different than how they just pack people into our country through the border. Same thing. Same type of weak vetting process, all of that, and then getting up there lying to us, as we're going to see. Mucus. So Democrats, once again, putting us all in danger, creating problems that we got to solve. And if we don't solve them, if we're not aware of the problems, then they end up manifesting themselves later on. And even with that, you're able to trace it back to, wait a minute, what led to this? Democrats.
And even at that time, none of us believed that on Capitol Hill. So now, 4 years later, we have an Afghan national in the streets of Washington, D.C., who decided to shoot to kill. Let's be clear, shoot to kill 2 of our National Guardsmen from the state of West Virginia. This is disgusting. And it says Democrat fingerprints all over it.
Yes, they do. Yes, it does, Byron.
I want to ask you about refugee admissions, which were just suspended by the president. That has nothing to do with the U.S. border. Refugee screening takes 18 to 24 months to go through. They are heavily vetted. Left literally at the airport this week were thousands of Afghans, some of whom had worked with the United States government and were promised to come here. When you talked to us in August, you said, I don't think we should abandon anybody who's been properly vetted and helped us.
See, now these are the moments that we have to look back to say, see, if we had listened, if we'd have been smart, yeah, these are things that we sit back and say, you know what, we told you so. And this makes me have more confidence in Trump, JD, and any other common sense Republican that saw this the way I saw it. Like, whoa, wait a minute. How can you truly vet these people? As lackadaisical as the Biden administration was with immigration, you're telling me they're really digging into who these people are? There's no way in the world, considering how they had our border wide open And come on in, step up next. All right, what's your name? I don't know my name. Okay, all right, I don't know my name. Write that down. He doesn't know his name. All right, go ahead in. I don't know my name. That's pretty much what was happening. So you're telling me that raggedy process, all of a sudden, with all these Afghanians just coming across the border, jumped up there on that plane, y'all were able to go ahead and get all kind of detailed information out of them. From what? From who? What government? What database? Unreal.
Do you stand by that?
Well, Margaret, I don't agree that all these immigrants or all these refugees have been properly vetted. In fact, we know that there are cases of people who allegedly were properly vetted and then were literally planning terrorist attacks on our country. That happened during the campaign, if you may remember. So clearly not all of these foreign nationals
No, but there are
have been properly
30,000
vetted.
people in the pipeline, Afghan refugees.
But there's 30,000 people. See, because y'all got to push this stupidity coming out of the Democrat Party, because they don't give a darn about the fallout. They don't care about the protecting of American citizens. They take advantage of our kindness and of our ignorance and of our grace. They take advantage of. Don't worry about it. The average American are going, that's so sad. Yes, we have to do something. Let's open up the. So yeah, let's take advantage of that. And then of course we'll take advantage of the fact that our stupid choices will be supported and echoed by the fake news that for some reason now is challenging J.D. Vance. And I'm saying J.D. has a point.
Primary concern as the vice president, Margaret, is to look after the American people. And now that we know that we have vetting problems with a lot of these refugee programs, we absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country. It's not good.
These people are vetted. See? We're proven right all the time, unfortunately. See, this is the problem. Yeah, when it all comes out, we go, man, I wish we'd have been wrong. I wish we'd have been wrong about this. But we saw this one coming. Yep. A little common sense, as you guys assured us. See her? I think I've been vetted. When you guys assured us that everything's good. Yeah, she's challenging JD like he's just being racist, insecure, xenophobic. They all been vetted. How do you know? Did you go down there and see them all being vetted? Do you trust Mucus, who allowed our border to be open for 4 years to do some serious vetting? But they all been vetted. Because why? Because Mucus told you? Because the Department of Defense, or don't worry, they all been vetted. How? We just looked at them.
These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted. And many people in the media and the Democratic Party said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't. I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted. And because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
That's a leader. Yeah, you should not do something that will impact the people that you wouldn't do, that would impact yourself. But Democrats do it all the time. All of their choices. I'm saying, see, you're making these reckless decisions because it don't impact you. That's why you're making it. You don't care about Americans, not at all. Yeah, you're not thinking cause and effect. You're not looking at the fallout. None of that. Get up there and recklessly demonize people that could lead to violence against those people. But y'all be the first to say, when you criticize us, you're putting our lives in danger. You're putting our lives in danger.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here.
Tell her, Jay.
Or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country, and I think most Americans agree with me.
Thank you. And it burns me up when they try to say, well, that was just one example or this isolated incident and this and that, trying to excuse it. I don't care. Because any victim of that isolated incident don't see it that way. Yeah, if I'm a victim of that, I'm going, wait a minute, whoa. This didn't have to be an isolated incident if it would have never been an incident at all. If I could trace it back to you guys not doing the vetting, you guys allowing this person to come here, you guys not kicking this person out when they were supposed to leave, you guys not keeping this person in jail, you guys not turning this person over to ICE. If I could trace it back to that, no, it could have been avoided. So I'm not looking at it as, oh, this is an isolated incident, so that means we shouldn't worry about that. It's unbelievable. So JD called it out then.
Hell yes.
So what's this? Well, look at that. Look at that. Once again, looks like Democrat fingerprints are on it. One way or another. 2021.
The challenge that we have as an administration is we got to let people know who brung it to them.
Yep.
That's our challenge.
That's exactly who brought it to us.
Let's continue tracking the latest. As I showed you, Brooke Taylor of Fox News saying sources are telling her, law enforcement sources telling her, that the shooter in D.C. is an illegal migrant from Afghanistan who came in during Operation Allies Welcome under the Biden administration and then overstayed that visa.
Refugees.
Well, yeah, there you go. Overstayed the visa, along with many, many others who they just totally disrespect our whole immigration system. They don't care nothing about the rules of our immigration system. Totally overstayed the visa, like probably millions of them, because they probably assume nobody's coming after us anyway. We've been here forever. The Democrats don't care. Do you think if they'd have won, they'd have been worried about actually enforcing folks that overstay their visa? No. That's the goal. We brought y'all here to overstay your visa. Yeah, we gave all this stuff knowing that y'all never come back to your meetings and stuff like that. See, I feel disrespected as a country right about now when I say, okay, our kindness has been taken advantage of. No, not our kindness. Our leaders' stupidity have been taken advantage of, or their evilness have been taken advantage of, because see, y'all never had any intentions on going back and actually enforcing it, following up with these people. If I was in another country that actually took their immigration seriously and I overstayed my visa, they would know it. It would pop up on some type of computer. Boop, the Kevin's still here roaming around. He should be reporting back in. Somebody sent a squad car to him. Yeah, they would just turn me loose in their country to roam around and not know where I'm at, what I'm doing, what I'm up to, not be able to find me at the end of my expiration. They wouldn't know where I'm at. But here, we're stupid. Yeah, our Democrats brought these people in, passed out a whole bunch of visas. And what do you expect when the people who came already know how the game works? You think they're going to respect it? You think that the only reason they're respecting it now is because they know we got some serious people in and we're going to enforce it. That's why we don't have all these people coming across the border no more. See, that's why we got folks self-deporting. That's why we got folks not showing up to school because they're going, man, I don't want to get deported. Folks not showing up to work because we finally got a president who's saying we're actually going to enforce the law. If it wasn't for that, all of these people would be operating like business as usual in our country and would not care about their legal status, showing up for some court hearing, overstaying their visa. They wouldn't care nothing about that under the idiots who caused this problem.
Screening takes 18 to 24 months to go through. They are heavily vetted.
The suspect in this shooting is Rahmanullah Lakhanwal. Rahmanullah Lakhanwal. He's a 29-year-old Afghan national.
He was from Washington State, 29 years old, entered the country in 2021, is an Afghan national, according to multiple law enforcement sources.
And now that we know that we have vetting problems with a lot of these refugee programs, we absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country. It's not good.
These people are vetted. These people are vetted. See? That stupid stuff. Now, see, this guy right here that messed it up for everybody. Everybody from Afghanistan and pretty much anywhere else. Right now, I'm going everybody. And until we know who's in our country, I don't care if you got a visa for now. Everybody needs to go home. Everybody needs to go home. Yeah. Right now, we need to be going. So, okay. Right now, everybody's gone. So we're just dealing with Americans at this point. Okay, then that means if we get something like this happen, all right, that means you're an American that just got stupid and radicalized or something like that. But it ain't nothing worse than to know that, wait a minute, this person did something like this and they shouldn't have been in the country. See, that makes it hurt more because you're going, okay, an American doing something stupid. Yes, it still sucks, but we deal with that American according to our laws and according to the fact that they're an American citizen. Okay, yeah, we're going to punish you because you broke the laws of our country versus people allowed you to come into our country to break our laws, okay, and let you stay here long enough to break our laws again. It's unbelievable, man. But let's go ahead and see just how the vetting probably looked under the Biden administration.
These people are vetted.
There you go. That's how it looked right there. Look at this. That's right. You're good. Go ahead in. Yeah, you're good. Wow. Man.
That's it.
Yep, that is it.
The most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
White supremacy. That's what they were telling us as they flooded our whole country with illegal immigrants. Unbelievable. See that face right there? But man, did you see that old guy patting them people down? Where was that event? I'd have gave my ticket back. if I would have went to that event, man, I'd have been like, hold on, whoa, wait. That guy's patting people down? I'm cool. Anybody want a ticket? Get your tickets. He was just like, that was the worst pat down. Hold on, I might have to see that again, man. That was the worst pat down I've ever seen in my life. Good googly boo. That dude should be fired. You know, it was so bad that somebody had a recording.
Unvetted people into our country.
These people are vetted.
These people are vetted.
These people are vetted.
Yep, there you go. That's vetting them. Yep. Go ahead in. You're clean. You're good.
That's it.
Yeah.
The most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
And see, when I hear stuff like that, when we sit back and we've endured all of that crap we had to listen to, all of those lies under the Biden administration, talking about the MAGA and the MAGA extremists and the white supremacy and the right-wing violence, when we all knew the truth, you guys are the most dangerous thing to the homeland. Democrat policies, wokeness, their ideology, their evilness, all of the stuff that these folks have done. I mean, you can trace all of these problems back to Democrats. So let's go ahead and see what was going on that allowed this dude to come into our country and commit something like this. See if we can find some fingerprints on what might have led to this.
Operation Allies Welcome is the ongoing effort to bring Americans home and to bring vulnerable Afghans to the United States and support their resettlement.
These aren't the interpreters that we talked. These were people that rushed into the planes.
Oh.
And they were so interested in trying to make it sound like, oh, they're doing a good job. These people, many of these people are going to be terrorists.
Wow. Trump's like a prophet. I mean, he was right about everything. And if you think about it, he was. Look at that. Him, J.D. Vance, anybody with common sense could see something like this coming. But what did Mucus and all them tell us? Let's see what they was telling us, y'all, when we were all going, I don't know about that. I don't see how you could vet thousands of these people who were not necessarily known to be working directly with us, but they just jumping on planes, coming in. How could you vet them? You know, these were just common sense thoughts that were running across my mind. And Trump said it too.
It's okay. They're going to be terrorists. They were very powerful. They were very energetic in getting onto the aircraft.
They say they're vetting them very carefully with biometrics and documentation.
They're not doing that, and you can't.
And you can't. Biometrics. All you can do is create current biometrics. If they don't have prior biometrics to compare, so all you can do is, all right, we're going to take a picture of you, biometrics and stuff like that. See if you pop up on some random database out there in the ether. Because you know Afghanistan didn't keep no database. So what? If they didn't initially pop up on some CIA database as a known terrorist or whatever, then all you get is what you just take right there in the moment. All right, let's get your fingerprints, let's get your eye exam, this and that. And then we won't know if you're a terrorist or not until you actually commit some terrorism. Then we can go to the database and say, wow, at least we knew who he was, but we didn't know he was a terrorist. Unreal.
President of the United States has the authority to designate a federal agency to lead a federal response. Last Friday, he designated the Department of Homeland Security as the lead federal agency to coordinate Operation Allies Welcome.
Deemed a security risk of some kind. What reassurances can you make about the screening process?
Y'all ready for this?
Attempts to make
Tell us, Raggedy
like
Patty. See, this was back when she was lying too. And she's still lying. So let's see how she lied then too.
His or her way here.
I can absolutely assure you that no one is coming into the United States of America who has not been through a thorough screening and background check process.
How can you assure us? How can you assure us that, Raggedy Patty? How can you assure us that? I mean, there's no greater failure of a government than to allow some outsiders to come in and hurt their own people. That right there, man, is disgusting. You know, I mean, as a man, if I'm over my house, I feel responsible for protecting my house and everybody who might live in my house. If I had kids, wife, or whomever, I'm going, yo, I would feel horrific if I sat back and let the enemy come in. Some guy, I know it's 3 a.m. My car broke down. You mind if I come in and use the phone? Nah, man, you cool. Or, sure, come on in. Next, you know, we all tied up in the basement. and I'm looking into the eyes of my kids and my wife, and they're looking at me like this is not going to end well. And I'm going, yep, I should have went ahead and used my common sense and said, nah, you stay out there. I'll call for you. Huh? Wow, I got him at gunpoint. Stay there. Keep your hands up. Now, who you want me to call for you? Huh? Anybody else out there with you? These are things that you should be thinking about. You should be looking at all possible angles when you are responsible for protecting the lives of your loved ones. Same thing with your government. You should be looking at all the possible angles, all of the possible areas that somebody could creep in and do something bad to your people. Do some foreshadowing, for God's sakes. Say, man, what could possibly go wrong when I bring all of these people in and just let them go into our country and go anywhere? So these people, these are the fingerprints all over it. And Raggedy Patty just straight came out live. Now that they went through a thorough
process.
You're referring to what we term Operation Allies Welcome, a program that we are very proud of, that we instituted to provide refuge for individuals, many of whom...
Will you be reviewing those they came in on parole? Will you be reviewing them on a case-by-case basis?
We reviewed them on a case-by-case basis, and when those parole periods are subject to renewal...
Do you believe that? We reviewed them on a case-by-case basis, and when those paroles up there is renewal. Your nasty stinking butt can't even find the kids that y'all brought over here. All of those kids just went missing. And you think you got a handle on it. Every time they would ask him questions, I do not have that information in front of me. I don't have the actual numbers. I don't have the... And here this fool is, we will be reviewing them over the case by case. Are you? Huh? They're all going to come back on the honor system, dummy.
We will do so.
It certainly is. Operation Allies Welcome, which we led in a coordinated effort across the government, is a great source of pride for us to bring to safety in the United States individuals who stood alongside our armed forces.
Yeah, sure. So you're telling me all them 30-some thousand of them you brought over all stood with the armed forces? You're telling me that whole plane filled with folks that, you know, pretty much the strongest survived got on that plane? Were they all working with our armed forces? Huh? Did we know that? No? And you just brought them anyway. All right, many as we can carry, just jump on. We'll figure it out later.
A few years later.
Look at this.
Here it is. What do you know?
Well, this individual appears to be from Washington State. It appears that he immigrated here into the United States in 2021 as part of the operation to bring Afghanis who had worked with or assisted the United States government over into this country as Afghanistan was beginning to fall.
A special immigrant visa program, SIV program.
Right, exactly. This was the Allies Welcome program. He applied for asylum under that program and was granted that asylum in April of this year, although he's been here, it appears, since 2021. So that sets this in a place where the FBI is going to be looking at what was the vetting that was done prior to his arrival here.
Mucus. He looks good. Let him go in. Anybody else wants to go in? Yeah, the same type of vetting probably that took place down there on the border. Make sure you get them all in under 72 hours. Hey, Mucus. How are we supposed to find out if this guy really did something now when you're making us get all these people in quickly? It does not matter. Trust me, they are all fine. We'll figure it out once they commit a crime. That's his model. Unreal.
When he settled in Washington, what has been his activities here in the United States? What brought him to Washington? How long has he been there? But it's going to give them a better direction at this point as they try to get from who is this individual, which they believe they've established, to what is his motive. Now, a number of motives could come up there. One could be that he was disenchanted in the United States. Another could be that he was angry at the U.S. military or felt betrayed and came upon people in uniform when he traveled to Washington. Or it could be something altogether different.
Investigators are still trying to determine what is the motive in this case.
This is a Fox News alert. Two National Guardsmen in critical condition tonight after being shot in a targeted attack just blocks from the White House. The lone suspect is in custody. Sources telling Fox News that the gunman is an Afghan national who was let in under Biden and then overstayed his visa. There
you go. All right. Democrat fingerprints all over it. All over it. The smart folks, early, before this ever happened, Trump was saying, this is a problem. This is a problem. J.D. Vance, this is a problem. When I saw it, this is a problem. Most common sense people, this is a problem. But nope, the vetting will be very thorough. We will make sure that... So apparently, this guy must have been working with our CIA or whatever. What? Y'all didn't know if this dude could be compromised or not? Are you kidding me? But nonetheless, let him on in and hope that he doesn't, change his mind about his efforts in working with the American military or whomever, if he was. But here it is. Either way you cut it, the man overstayed his visa and should be kicked back out of the country. But nope, they didn't. They just let him go ahead and wander around. And so he wandered his butt all the way to Washington, D.C., and this is what happened.
And this is in just moments ago. The suspect apparently waited for the guardsman to come around the corner, then opened fire. He shot a female guard in the chest, then walked up, took her firearm, and shot her point blank in the head. He took her weapon and fired at other guard members, hitting one in the neck before a third guardsman engaged him and brought him down.
We know that the president was quickly briefed, and then he posted on Truth Social updates. He shared the suspect who shot the two National Guard members is severely wounded and will pay a very steep price. He wrote, "God bless our great National Guard and all our military and law enforcement. They are truly great people."
Now, I hope when we find out what his motive is, I hope this is a speedy trial with a speedy outcome. Get all the information we need out of this dude that we can get. And then after that, I don't know what the rules are. If he's held, this is a federal offense. Can it be capital punishment? That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering. See, because it occurred in D.C., who knows? But I wonder if capital punishment is on the table. I mean, how you going to shoot this woman, kill her, other guy is fighting for his life, and it's cowardly. Yeah, you can't get in a real shootout with somebody. Now you got to come up and sneak them. This is the stuff, man. It burns me up. So y'all remember all of this, all these lies that they were telling us that leaves fingerprints from Democrats all over it. Listen to this. This is back in the day.
The anomalous situation of Afghan refugees, our former translators and guards, security people who work with us, put their lives on the line, have been brought to this country in a parole status, which unfortunately now is ending. I'm urging you to extend the parole status of Afghan evacuees and do it enough time to advance the expiration of that status to avoid uncertainty and anxiety. Is that something that you have under consideration?
So you want them to extend the parole status without some secondary vetting? Just keep it going? Just keep it going? Just keep it going and all of that stuff? Just because now, you already know all of these people that came here from Afghanistan was not a part of working with our government. We all know that. But all of them were given some temporary parole status because they just managed to outrun the next person to get on a dang on plane or whatever. See, this is the loosey-goosey type operations that these folks ran. And then instead of saying, you know what, maybe we need to revisit this. Now just go and renew it because we want to look woke. We want to look like, we're standing behind the brave men and women from Afghanistan who we don't know who half of these people are. We might have a handful of them that we can actually say worked with the country. How many folks did we have working with us? That's my question. If like 30,000 of them came, you're telling me all of them folks were assets? They all were working with us? I mean, can you break down some numbers? Say, all right, look, we can verify that here's 300 of them that was interpreters and was working with us. But the rest of these folks, we don't know nothing about them. They just happen to get on the plane or run across the border. And we're just going to say, well, yeah, you must have supported the U.S. then, so cool, come on in. These are dumb choices made by Democrats.
Senator, it certainly is. Operation Allies Welcome, which we led in a coordinated effort across the government, is a great source of pride for us to bring to safety in the United States.
It's a great source of stupidity from you guys. That's what it is.
Individuals who stood alongside our armed forces in Afghanistan. We support the Adjustment Act And we are indeed looking at the period of parole, its upcoming expiration, and whether indeed that should be extended. There are, as you know, more than 88,000 Afghans evacuated, flown out of the country.
88,000. 88,000. All of those were working with our military and our government. That's what you're telling me, Blumenthal.
Settled in the United States, and about 90% of them were granted parole for only 2 years. And so they live in this netherworld of immigration status.
So let me understand, 88,000 of them, and 90% of them were only given parole for 2 years. That means that the majority of that 88,000, this guy wants them to have their parole renewed. He wants them to continue to stay in the country. And I'm saying, how do you know what they're doing? What have they been doing for the 2 years they've been running around the country? Huh? Who have they gotten involved with? Where are they being placed? This is the stuff that you as a smart leader should be thinking about. So just because we haven't had an incident from any of them in the first 2 years, that means they're all legit, they're good. We don't need to revisit it. Just blanketly go ahead and renew their parole. We ain't going to bring them all in individually and say, all right, what you been up to? Let's take a look at your behavior, your movements, where you've been contacting folks back home. Have your opinion about the U.S. changed? None of that. Just go ahead, blanketly throw out you guys, by the way, you're all renewed. Just stay another 2 years. Well, here we have it. Somebody didn't get renewed, but they decided to do something stupid. Democrat fingerprint still on it.
That's where it's difficult for them to make plans, to get jobs.
Difficult for them to make plans and get jobs and
even get housing. And so the sooner you can extend that parole status, the better, as I'm sure you understand.
How many Afghans, Mr. Secretary, have been admitted to the United States through parole since the fall of Kabul?
Come on, Mucus.
2 years ago.
Congressman, I would be pleased to provide you with that data. I don't have it.
You got to be kidding me. You got to see just the stuff. Democrat fingerprints all over it. I thought, Congressman, I would be glad to provide that. You don't come prepared, Mucus. That's my question. He never came prepared. I don't have that information. I would be glad to. Never provided it.
There were 70,192 Afghans that were brought into the United States.
Well, how did he get that information? And you don't have it, Mucus.
They were brought here on parole for 2 years. Will you be reviewing each individual status on a case-by-case basis as this expiration happens?
Now, do you really believe Mucus is going to be doing that? 77,000 he did. That's low number. We heard it was like 80,000, 88,000. But nonetheless, they want to renew their parole status. And he's asking a legitimate question. Do you really think this sloppy, just unorganized, disorganized administration under Biden would have taken that seriously? You think if they were willing to not vet the 12 plus million of the illegal immigrants that came across the border, you think they're going to actually go back and seriously vet 70-something thousand of these Afghanians that they brought into our country to renew their visa? You know how long that would take? See, if you'd have did it up front, or if you'd have said, let's relocate them to another country over in the Middle East, something like that. Yeah, we might not leave you all hanging, but let's see if we could partner up with some people, neighboring country or something like that, where you guys could be resettled. But to bring you all here under those conditions, not being able to vet you, give you visas, and then lie to us and say, yes, I will be, watch him lie to us.
Congressman, you're referring to what we termed Operation Allies Welcome.
He's trying to filibuster now. We are proud of the men and women. I don't want to hear that, Mucus. He asked you, are you going to vet each one of them?
A program that we are very proud of, that we instituted to provide refuge for individuals.
What that got to do with the question?
Will you be reviewing those they came in on parole? Will you be reviewing them on a case-by-case basis?
We reviewed them on a case-by-case basis.
Reviewed them?
And when those parole periods are subject to renewal.
You hear the word? You hear the verbiage? Democrat fingerprints all over it. We reviewed them by, no, you're saying you reviewed them initially when they came in, which you know you didn't. You know you didn't do that. So now he's asking, are you going to review them on a case-by-case basis. But mucus, we reviewed them on and you know you didn't.
We will do so.
The commander down at Fort McCoy in my state, when I interviewed him 2 years ago, he said they were not interviewed.
It says Democrat fingerprints all over it.
Bam! Thank you, Byron. Yeah, the commander said they were not interviewed. You lying, stinking, nasty, disgusting Democrat. Mucus and all of them should be brought up on treasonous charges against America because him, Biden, and Garlic and whomever else was responsible for putting our country in danger with all these illegal immigrants, unvetted in our country. This is the problem we're dealing with now. Cause and effect. Democrat fingerprints all over this. So let me understand, you're lying to this man right here in Congress?
On a case-by-case basis. In fact, in the terror hotbed of the world, Afghanistan, which should have a special immigrant visa process, previous administration used that to make sure to fully vet. Not one of those people that came in from Afghanistan were sent through the special immigrant visa process. They were simply given parole.
Investigators are still trying to determine what is the motive in this case.
It says
But look at that. Just giving, visas, didn't vet them, nothing. I'm telling you, most of the problems, most of the big stuff that happened in our country that we all go, how'd that happen? If you go ahead and start tracing it, you'll find, like Inspector Clouseau. It looks like I found a fingerprint. It belongs to mucus. It belongs to the Democrats. There you go.
Democrat fingerprints all over it.
Do you know how much damage was done to Fort McCoy during that period when those 12,000 plus Afghans came in?
Congressman, the individuals who were benefited from Operation Allies Welcome were indeed screened and vetted by government personnel.
They were brought in categorical parole, Mr. Chairman. There was $145.6 million of damage that was done to Fort McCoy.
What?
Did you realize that?
No, because you don't care. No, I don't, because I really don't know what I'm doing in this position. They brought me in to commit chaos and start a whole bunch of... That idiot right there, that guy who I made fun of for years, now he's still causing us problems. His choices are still the results of problems right now, of his decisions. That's what they are. Look at him. I did not...
Congressman,
the place was virtually destroyed. I want to move on.
But you bet
it says Democrat fingerprints all over it.
Yep. There's one right there. You see that big fat fingerprint?
We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden.
Darn right.
And we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country.
See? Now see what that guy did? See what it ended up leading to? Now all the Afghanians got to now get reviewed and possibly sent out of the country because somebody became radical, slipped through the cracks, came up there and ended up killing some people. So now Trump's doing what any good leader would do. Clean house. Yeah, we can't allow any potential problems to exist. To make sure we can sleep good at night, we can't say, well, we got 30,000 of them out, but there's 10,000 left. Let's hope the 10,000 aren't... So now we got to say, you know what? To make sure, since our first goal and priority is to protect every American citizen, the only way we can say, now all we have to deal with now is Americans. Unfortunately, everybody now pays the price who might have came over here and said, man, I wasn't doing that. But hey, unfortunately, the Democrats have messed it up for all of you. Everybody got to go. Everybody got to go. Yeah, I don't know about you. I don't trust nothing if something is spoiled or anything. If I got a loaf of bread and I see one piece of bread in there with mold on it, I throw the whole loaf away. I'm like, I don't know what's starting to take place on the inside of some of them other pieces. They might start becoming moldy too. I might not be able to see the mold in that one, and I eat it, and next thing you know, I'm jacked up. Throw it away. If any doubt, I'm going, everything got to go. Everything must go. But here President Trump is now. See, this incident made us go, wait a minute, how did this person get here? It makes you start doing some investigation. Who is this guy? Oh, he came in through that. His visa expired. He wasn't vetted under the Biden. See, Another reason why immigration is a problem, which also goes back to the Democrats and their fingerprints.
If they can't love our country, we don't want them. America will never bend and never yield in the face of terror. And at the same time, we will not be deterred from the mission these service members were so nobly fulfilling. That is why tonight I can announce that I have directed the Department of War to mobilize an additional 500 troops to help protect our capital city.
Now, and the funny thing about this is liberals will look at this as, torture terrorist, he's a white supremacist, he's a dictator. And I'm going, any smart, responsible leader should respond this way right here. Yeah. Are you so dumb you don't realize that he's saying that I am about to do something to ensure the safety of American citizens? And you will have dumb liberals out there saying, dude, he's only doubling down on his dictatorship and he wants to. And I'm going, can't live with dumb people. You cannot, it's funny, man, because Trump is making choices and decisions to protect dumb people from themselves. They don't even realize that, wow, these choices might have saved me from being the next person that one of these idiots end up hurting. See, so they don't realize it. So Trump has to come out and do the extreme because of the extreme stupidity that led to all of this.
We will make America totally safe again.
It says Democrat fingerprints all over it.
In the Biden administration, the Democrats have inflicted on this nation the worst national security threat in our history. We've never faced a threat like this. 20 million people brought into our country from the most failed societies on earth. Afghanistan, Somalia, Libya, Iraq, brought here. No vetting, no conditions, no rules. Brought here on visas, brought here on as refugees, brought here as asylees.
Man, Steve, the brain, when you break it down like that, it makes it sound real stupid and reckless, doesn't it? Broken countries where the governments are either corrupt and evil or just imploded, and we decide to bring all of these millions in from all of these different countries and don't think they're going to come in with baggage. What people don't realize, even if a person get married, when you get married to somebody, what you're really marrying is a series of, thoughts, experiences, isms and schisms. Yeah, you might be marrying a body, a face and all of that, but everything that person encountered that influenced who they are in life, that's what you're really marrying. That's what you're really marrying. If daddy didn't show them enough attention, you just married that. If they're insecure because they couldn't read good, you just married that. Anything they went through in their life that might have impacted or influenced their personality or any of their insecurities or anger or all of that stuff, you're marrying that. Now, you might not know you're marrying that up front because that stuff is suppressed. But the longer you're with that person, you start seeing all of the stuff that influenced that person, that make them who they are. Now you're going, it's coming out. I didn't know that until I spent more time with this person. When you bring in people from all over the globe and they've been traumatized or they've been influenced or they've been radicalized or their culture totally different than ours, they're now just being thrust into this situation. Not something you even dated. We didn't even get a chance to date. We didn't even get a chance to date to get to know them. It was one of those, y'all got to hurry up and get married. Okay. And you're wondering why stuff like this starts to show up. Hey, you're sitting back marrying everything that took place in these people's lives, how their culture operated, and all of that. You ain't get time to ask no questions about it. So how are things in Nicaragua? What do y'all do to solve problems there? What is the culture like? None of that. Just bring them in. And then you see them often operating like they're still from their country. When that guy told his roommate that I'm going out to look for some girls with Lake and Riley, I'm going, this guy was operating like he was from wherever he just came from. I mean, like nobody was saying that about it. Like this is normal. Yeah, and we brought that here. We brought that here. The way they deal with crime, all of that stuff. That's what you're marrying. All the folks from Venezuela who they operated like they did in Venezuela, you didn't even give them time to get that out their system. Nothing. Just brought them all in here. and expect, we're all going to be in harmony. They're going to fall in love with the country. There's not going to be any baggage that comes along with them. And I'm going, how stupid could these people have been? Democrat fingerprints all over. And the brain is explaining it.
Brought here as illegals. Brought here in every way imaginable. By plane, train, bus, automobile, by land, by sea. For 4 straight years, they deluged this country. And now more blood is being spilled as a result. What you heard tonight from President Trump, the breaking news here tonight, is saying that his government is going to accelerate efforts to review every person added to this country over the last 20 years, or the last 4 years, all 20 million. Now, obviously, if you're illegal, you're out automatically. But everybody else who is brought here, refugee, asylum status, whatever status, as he said, if you're not someone who loves this country, if you're not adding benefit to this country, then we're going to send you out of this country.
Yep. Because our country is set up now to be taken advantage of. And that's the problem. I mean, you look at all the Somalians, up there in Minnesota who just took advantage of the system. I mean, if I was a criminal from another country, I'd be like, yo, let me get to America. Yeah, because they are vulnerable. They are wide open for stupidity. All their social programs and stuff like that, all of their kindness. Let's take advantage of the taxpayers. And then you get a lawyer that goes ahead and try to, drop the case or charges or something like that up there in Minnesota, and people are ripping everybody off. But why wouldn't they? They're like, man, from where we came from, man, I mean, when you go to those countries, they still swindle you. You go to a lot of these countries, they will rip you off. They're like, oh, we see Americans as victims. Soon as they come to, I'm here to, I'm here to come and bring food, and I'm here to this and that. Good, let me get some money. When I went to, on the Bahamas, they were trying to get me for everything. I went to the city. They were like, you know what, this was way back in the day. You know what, let me paint this on your face. It's going to be $50. Let me go ahead and put this around your neck. It'll be $50. I'm going, no, you're not going to get me out of my money. Everybody's trying to rip you off in those countries, especially if you're American, because we're so fat and so confident. Yeah, we got so much resources that, you know what, hey, we can splurge a little, we can spare a little. So, yeah, they're going to try to rip you off. So, yeah, if they come here and they see an open system, they see an area of stupidity, they're like, oh, yeah, let's take advantage of that. Now, I'm not saying 100%, but I'm saying it's enough to where we need to go ahead and say, well, you know what? How about we eliminate all the potential problems? Start from scratch. We start from scratch. How about that?
Because it's enough already. No one else has to die. No one else has to be murdered. No one else has to be shot. No more empty seats are needed at the Thanksgiving table or the Christmas table because of what Democrats have done to this country.
Yep.
So tonight we heard from a commander-in-chief a historic announcement, a brave announcement, exactly what America needed to hear, Kellyanne. Investigators are still trying to determine what is the motive in this case.
It says Democrat fingerprints all over it.
Tell us,
the
Piper.
good news in this tragedy is
Look
it's
at this
a
lady.
knowable suspect who's had ties to the United States.
Yeah, you hear her trying to justify it? Because, see, he wasn't just some random terrorist and stuff like that. She's trying to make it seem like the good news is that this was a person who actually worked with the United States but then betrayed us. And stuff like that, because we ain't follow up with him to see what his mind frame was when his visa was expired.
Essentially, for most of his life, between his work with the CIA or with the United States in Afghanistan, through at least 3 vetting processes to get his amnesty status, asylum status.
And look, he still betrayed us. How about that? All of that mess you're trying to talk about, what the good part about this is, to cover the potential other ones that didn't have to go through that process and this and that and that. So, Janine, help her out, because, see, here she is talking about the vetting process, the thorough vetting process.
Let me say one more thing, and it's not about this case, it's about vetting in general. The nonsense that the left gave us with this Operation Welcome Allies. Look, there was no vetting. If you think there was vetting, I have a bridge to sell you.
Yeah.
If you saw the chaos that was going on at that airport in Kabul, in Afghanistan, it was typical of what was going on in the Biden administration.
Bam!
And the Pentagon, I believe it was Kirby and people in the Biden administration said the Afghan withdrawal that we all know was disastrous was a success. And that's a quote. They called that a success.
Look at that success. Hey, you see all them folks right there running? Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we vetted all of them that got on that plane.
That chaos is not a success. That is a nightmare. And 13 American servicemen and women were killed at that airport because the Biden administration couldn't get their facts together and couldn't make a decision regarding the rules of engagement to take down a known suicide bomber. So let's stop namby-pambing around with this, oh, he was vetted. There was no vetted. The welcome mat was thrown down. They even admitted that they short-circuited the vetting. What they did was they brought in 90,000 people into this country that were not vetted. They told us all the other immigrants were vetted. What do? Call the FBI in Afghanistan and say, gee, do you have anything on this guy? Did we call Venezuela and say, gee, how about your criminal justice system? What can you tell me about this guy? It's like the 10, 20 million American illegals who've been let into this country. We don't know who they are until we suffer the consequences.
Bam! There it is. That's how the Democrats operate. Yeah, we don't need to know if these people are a danger to our citizens and our society. We'll figure it out later, once it's too late. See, so unfortunately, two of our National Guards people have figured it out the hard way. And if you trace it back, as Janine and the brain was saying, you'll find that it goes back to Democrats, fingerprints all over it, one way or another. Either being motivated to do something like this because they've been saying the National Guard are there to arrest us and look at us and enslave us and all that stuff, or they let this person in, they didn't vet him properly, they let him overstay his visa, and then here he is showing up doing this.
That we have seen in Washington, and I was on that scene, and it is a very sad place. And Sarah Beckstrom and her family did not deserve this. No, they should have been protected, which is the first order of government. And the left ought to stop their nonsense and recognize that they are not speaking for the American people. They are speaking about ideology and politics. Donald Trump, the president, the attorney general, and myself were interested in the facts, in the prosecution, making people accountable, and rest assured, we will.
Yes. Now let's hear from Trump, because we're going to close out with this stupid reporter asking Trump, well, why are you blaming the Biden administration?
Why do you blame the Biden administration?
Because they let him in. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person?
Yes.
Because they came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person.
Thank you. You brought that on yourself. You got your butt spanked. That's what you did. Why are you blaming the Biden administration? Because they let him in. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? See, that's why I love Trump. That's why I love Trump. Yeah, this person now got to sit back like, oh, shoot. I didn't expect him to straight call me out like that. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Hey, show him the stupid thing right there. You ask stupid questions, you get stupid prizes. Here you go. Show them the paper right there to show just how stupid they are. Trump.
On a plane, along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person. And there's a law passed that it's almost impossible not to get them out. You can't get them out once they come in. And they came in, and they were unvetted, they were unchecked, there were many of them, and they came in on big planes, and it was disgraceful. And if you look, you'll see there was a law passed. It makes it almost impossible not to let them in, not to certify them, so to speak, once they come in. And they came in, and they shouldn't have come in. And frankly, the whole thing was a mess. The whole Afghanistan situation was a mess. It should have never taken place. If we're going to go out, and we would have gone out because I had everybody ready to go. We were going to go out with strength and dignity and precision, and we would have left for Bagram, and we would have kept Bagram, by the way, because of its very close relationship to China and where they make their missiles. But when you let the people come in by the thousands and thousands and thousands, they made a terrible mistake.
Terrible mistake. On purpose. So there you have it. Trump had to go ahead and check that reporter and say, are you stupid? You're asking stupid questions. Why are you blaming the Biden administration? Because she can't see the fingerprints, or is she trying to wipe away the fingerprints of the Democrats? Yeah, that woman doesn't understand cause and effect. You don't understand that, wait a minute, one thing leads to another. How's everybody able to put this together but you guys? Always trying to act like you're going to separate the consequences from who started it, the actions of the person who started it. Well, it has nothing to do with that, man. And I'm going, no. Cause and effect. Yeah, maybe people do stuff that, mucus didn't make them do, Biden didn't make them do. But the fact that these people are even here, that's the problem. Yeah, if you don't know who is around your friends and family and loved ones and stuff like that, if you haven't really thoroughly did a background check and you just let them hang out with folks that you're going, I don't know if this person crazy, what their intentions are, their motives and all of that stuff, then you're not a good overseer. You're horrible. Yeah, you just let some random guy down the street babysit your kids. Hey, I got to run to work. Hey, yeah, you want to make a buck? You want to babysit my kids? Sure. I'll give you $50. You come home and the kids are gone. You wonder what happened. Oh, I made a stupid decision. I trusted these people. See, that is how they operated. But it was even more nefarious than that. Yeah, they knew that these people could be dangerous. And so any way you cut it, the lives of these two people, if you trace back through, what took place, you'll find that the Democrats got their fingerprints on it one way or another. One way or another. Boy, I tell you, man, they are the source of so many problems in our country. It is ridiculous. And it's like we are in a constant mode of putting out fires that they started. And then the bad part is they're starting more. The more we put out, they're just running around starting a whole bunch of little ones. They haven't been able to start a big one yet, but they really major in starting just a whole bunch of little fires. Keep you having to put out little fires that they have started. So you're putting out the ones they've lit years ago. And as you get some of those out, you're going, okay, we finally getting it down to a point. Oh, man, what are y'all doing? Put those matches down over there. Now we got to run over there and do it. That the military is being used to this and that, and Trump, and you know what? He's painting, he's building this at the White House, and he's doing it because and now it's always something with these stupid dummies, man. And I'm here to point it out, man. So God bless America. God bless our troops. It's such a tragedy that took place that could have been avoided. And in the days to come, I'm sure we'll find more information about this guy, and maybe heard he's not cooperating, but at some point maybe he might tell us why he really did it. But it doesn't matter why he did it. You shouldn't have been here. Yeah. So either way you cut it, Democrat fingerprints are all over this. So we'll see as the days go on. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Who knows? Y'all might see me pop up again here or there. I've chopped up the clips from some past live streams. I'm going to be uploading those. So make sure you turn your notifications on to get those, check those out. If you haven't seen them already, don't forget, subscribe to my alternative channel. Stop and think about it. The link is below the video. If you want to support the channel monetarily, you can do it through my Cash App, my PayPal link, or just checking out Kevin's Corner store, getting some merch. Other than that, we'll catch you guys next time. Such a tragedy. It is. It's such a tragedy, and it burns me up to think about it. And I say, man, this is something that didn't have to happen. So hopefully we'll get it together and deal with this situation and make sure it doesn't happen again. I know you see the apes. I know you see the way we tear up the place. Yeah. Take care.